The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Veronica Guiti, filling in for Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we'll discuss some current issues in our communities with Latina Social Entrepreneur of the Month, Ramona Ferreira. Afterwards, Riverdale Senior Services and PSS Circle of Care present a conference for caregivers. Stick around to learn more. Next, we'll learn about the World Science Festival's upcoming City of Science events here in the Bronx. After that, learn about Teach Bronx NYC, an upcoming event for aspiring Bronx teachers. Then, Statement Junkies, a free youth development and global leadership program for girls of color. And we'll discuss Student Sponsored Partners, a program providing low-income New York City students with quality private high school education. We'll learn more later on in the show, so stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Veronica Guiti, filling in for Darren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, July 10th, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcasted simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us via Twitter and BronxNet TV and on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. A lot has been going on through this past week. We'll take you through it with our Bronx updates. The Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition hosted a forum with Community Board 7 on the New York Health Act Forum, a single prayer health plan that would provide universal care for all New Yorkers. The forum held at St. James Church was about bringing information to the public on the bill, which passed in the New York State Assembly and for the first time is scheduled to go before the Senate. Arlene Makoko has the story.
Asthma, diabetes, hypertension, they are off the charts.
And a single-payer health plan, the only one nationwide providing universal care, could change that, according to the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition. They joined Community Board 7 for a forum at St. James Church on the New York Health Act.
The first thing it does is it covers every New Yorker. Every New Yorker, whether they are documented or not, as long as they are a resident of New York State.
With no copays, no deductibles, or out-of-network charges, the bill covers a host of areas including dental, vision, reproductive care, opioid addiction, and more. It has passed the Assembly 4 years in a row and for the first time goes before the State Health Committee, chaired by State Senator Gustavo Rivera, at the start of the next session in January.
This healthcare system is broken. It's a train wreck.
Also speaking here was Leonard Rodberg, who shared that if legislation like this was passed around the country, it would place the U.S. on par with other first world countries that already provide this.
Yet long-term care is incredibly expensive. On average, it costs $120,000 a year to receive long-term care. And if that's something that we need from the time that we are, say, 75 or 80 for years on end, that could mean that we work our entire lives, save our entire lives, and then find that when we need that support to stay in our homes and in our communities, it doesn't exist.
Long-term care has been another concern for aging residents. The New York Health Act looks to address this while also building a workforce focused on job development. For more information on the New York Health Act, go to northwestbronx.org. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Thank you, Arlene. Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. celebrates Caribbean American Heritage Month with the community by honoring New York City Public Advocate Jermaine Williams, New York State Homes and Community Renewal Deputy Commissioner Woody Pascal, and many more. Our BronxNet cameras were there to capture it. Let's take a look.
It was a day set aside to celebrate the Caribbean.
It's wonderful, tranquility, fresh air, peace.
And those who traveled here, like Phyllis Donaldson, who moved from Jamaica to the Bronx 42 years ago. Here with her daughter, both manage a community garden off 241st Street that is teaching a new generation the value of gardening.
In another couple of weeks, Mr. Garden is going to have the children's summer program for 6 weeks.
We give them the news from back home, the sports, the weather, the details. We're the only conduit for them.
Also making a difference, honoree Bobby Clark, founder and chief executive officer of Erie Jam Media Group. His parents traveled in from Kingston, Jamaica, and he also came to the Bronx in '93, where he launched his company before moving its headquarters to Queens.
We're broadcasting into the Caribbean, into Europe, into Canada. So we're doing a lot of work for the Caribbean community globally from here. So we're very proud to be honored by the Bronx Borough President because this is where we started.
You've been around for so many years.
Joined by honorees Woody Pascal, Deputy Commissioner, New York State Homes and Community Renewal, and the Honorable New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, Clark talked further about the importance of events like this.
You know what? As an immigrant, and that's a bad word now, it's important that we service our needs. And sometimes it comes from creating a community that helps the community. And so my job is to help that community that in any which way, for jobs, for community services, for sports, for religion, whatever it is. That's why we're here.
Elder care and child care are his priorities, as well as more representation.
We're working hard in the white collar world, and we're not getting recognized for it. And I think we need to get more recognition for what we do.
As a backup, he knows where to get news around the borough.
I love BronxNet. That's what I want to say. So keep it locked right here no matter what.
This is both a celebration of Caribbean heritage and a celebration of Bronx pride. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
That's all for Bronx Updates. Now switching gears. The Fair Fare campaign, MTA bus turnaround NYCHA concerns, and the closed Rikers Mott Haven jail plans. Joining us now to discuss all of these current issues in our communities and more is social entrepreneur, founder of Ohala Threads, and recent honoree for building her business while fighting for her community, Ramona Ferreira. Hi. Nice to meet you, Ramona.
Nice to meet you.
First of all, congratulations on everything that you're doing, because you are doing so much. You came back home. You said you were living in Hawaii, right? Mm-hmm. For 10 years and fighting for social justice there, but you decided to bring it on home.
Yes.
For the Bronx.
Yeah, I felt a sense of responsibility, and I had worked with the federal government, Department of Justice and the Department of Defense, and wanted to use the skills I had developed along the way to help my own community.
Well, we're definitely grateful, and we want to get right to it. So let's start off with NYCHA. That has been a huge concern to many Bronxites here. So many complaints that have been going on for years.
Yes.
And the mayor's been getting hit on it. Many plans that he's been trying to put into place. But let's just talk about the concerns that's going on right now with the residents living in those buildings. And your family has actually been, you said Mitchell's Projects in Mott Haven?
So we have been linked through my grandmother at Mitchell Projects for 28 years. Grandma moved into a senior building when it was time for her to retire. And Mott Haven is what I consider home. It's where I would go summers. And when I would come home for holidays every year, I realized that there was an issue happening when it came to the funding and also the management. I think recently the mayor has successfully put in some things that are working towards the actual management, but the gap continues to be the funding. For example, Governor Cuomo has been holding on to $550 million. Since the monitor was put in place through that agreement that they did with HUD, that money was supposed to be released, and it hasn't. he continues to move the carrot and say that NYCHA needs to give him better plans. And we know that NYCHA has. So I've been working with both the Monitor and with Vito, the general manager for NYCHA. And I've seen how they tried to turn things around. But in addition to the money that the state owes us, the city needs to make a larger investment, and the federal government does too. So as Congressional District 15 prepares to have an election, now that Serrano is retiring, it's important that everyone that's running for 15 develop a plan for sustainable public housing. My community continues to be 50% below the federal line for poverty. And public sustainable housing is something that's going to continue to affect us, even with gentrification and development. Federally, there's a bill that's asking now for $2 billion when the need is actually 125.
And that's what I was going to say. We know that Mott Haven is being developed with so many new buildings that are going up, new companies that are going up as well. Why do you feel that NYCHA is being left out?
I think it's purposeful. I think NYCHA serves a community of color. I think NYCHA serves people that are often overlooked because they're not equipped with the time or the skills, either through education or life experiences, to advocate for themselves. So for me, coming back home, knowing how to do those things, it was important that although I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I have a baby line that has nothing to do on the surface with these issues, it's important that I dedicate my time to make sure that my community is represented and is supported how they're supposed to be.
Now, you've been doing a lot of fights for the community, but one thing that you are being fought against is the opening of the jail in Mott Haven. There are a lot of residents in Mott Haven who are against this plan, but you're saying that this plan can actually help the community. Tell us how.
So the work that I had done in the past was about developing communities that were more sustainable to disasters. And I worked a lot on Indonesia for the Department of Defense. Coming back home, I see the jail plan as a disaster response. Mott Haven has been used, basically our poverty has been a soapbox for many people. People love saying we're the poorest congressional district in America, but we've been so for decades now. So 40 years past Reagan, the war on drugs, incarceration, the lack of criminal justice reform, it became apparent to me that we needed a holistic plan. So when the jail discussion began, I became involved because I asked the city at a meeting, what does Mott Haven get in exchange for this jail? And that conversation led to 12 points of investment that allows Mott Haven to tap into $7.1 billion. So we, as a committee representing the community, I'm just a social entrepreneur. We had Bronx Defenders on there. We had Bronx Connect. We had people from Eastside Houses. So there were very different backgrounds at the table. And we had city officials like Diana Ayala, who has also been getting the blunt, I would say, of the negative comments regarding this plan. So the plan includes things like developing a youth hub. We don't have access to clinics for our youth in the community. So we want to give these kids, and this is what they asked for, when we were having meetings throughout the community, a space where you could be until 10 p.m., a space that has Wi-Fi because we're the least connected community in New York City when it comes to access to internet. We wanted to give them a space for LGBTQ individuals to be safe and also for transient youths to have access to a shower. Right. So this is not something that I thought of, right? For me, because I've done a lot of work with transit and with NYCHA, I fought to make sure that every NYCHA development has their community center repaired because places like Patterson Houses have floods. So they're teaching classes and holding after school programming with leaks. And I don't think that that's quality of life and that that's how anyone should live in America. When it came to transit, we asked for things like making sure that 2 of the train stations surrounding the jail would be developed and made ADA compliant. And this is something that the city has proposed in the past, but our funding constantly disappears.
But while all of this sounds great, what do you say to those who see it as a two-edged sword? Because most people of color are, hopefully they're not, but they're the ones being targeted. Yes. And they may feel like they're the ones that are going to be sent to those jails. What do you say to that?
So I think we have to be realistic about why individuals end up in jail. You end up in jail because of a lack of opportunity, a lack of resources, poor education, poor mental health support, and familial breakdown. So this plan actually looks at these issues and addresses them holistically. So when I speak to women in our neighborhood that are single mothers working 2 jobs sometimes, and they have a child that has special ed needs, they have to travel to East Harlem for that one child to get the services that they're legally entitled to. When you talk to the teenagers and you're like, why are you hanging out outside? We don't get summer youth employment in my neighborhood. We don't have PAL in my neighborhood. So there's constantly been this denial of resources, and everyone has been very silent about the fact that the South Bronx has historically been overlooked. Now we're using this opportunity to yell, we demand these things, and we see this as a plan of reparations.
Now, the residents do have a say in this through the hearings that have been happening in the community.
Yes.
There's one going on tonight. If you could just give us some information about that.
So it's at John Jay College. I actually did my undergrad there. So it's like going home. We're going to be speaking to the City Commission. The hearing is allowing individuals that support and don't support the borough-based jail plan. Our hope, when I say our, I would say the committee, individuals that support it, and organizations like Just Leadership and the Close Rikers campaign. Our hope is that people stay committed to closing Rikers sooner rather than later.
Right.
And that we do it in a way that empowers the communities affected by criminalization and by the failure of criminal justice reform that this country has seen. Really take a chance and really allow us to create the investments. A lot of the conversations that I've heard focus on how tall the building is. And you know, Mott Haven's been getting developed crazy, right? So I have a building coming up 2 blocks away from my grandmother that's 20 floors, and it's luxury. So when you tell me that I cannot have a jail that's 19 floors, I have to take a step back and I have to ask myself, is your problem with the height, or is your problem with the individuals that we as a community like to shun? I don't want to shun people going to jail. I've been affected by crime in my own family. I've had to go to prisons to visit family members. And I have a friend in jail right now that went through Rikers. So I take ownership of those people, of all of them. And I want to make sure that I create the infrastructure in Mott Haven, not for the entire Bronx, but at least for us, so that we can give our family members, so we can give our community members the tools and the resources they need to not end up in jail.
Well, Ramona, I wish we could talk more. We had so much to talk about, but so little time.
Yeah.
But just if you can just give us your information for those who would like to follow up with you to get more information on how they can become more involved, whether or not they agree, but just to get more information about what's going on in the community and how they could get their voices heard.
Definitely. So I think the best is my Instagram. It's Ramona the Mona, THE. And I would encourage people to definitely ask questions. And more importantly, I think at this juncture is make sure you register to vote. 2020 is coming, and it's going to be really important for our community to activate. And the census. Yes.
Excellent. Ramona, thank you so much for joining me here today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Visit OhalaThreads.com to find out more about Ramona's business as well. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Open right after this.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Thank you for staying with us. Riverdale Senior Services and PSS Circle of Care are presenting a free caregiver conference for family members and neighbors looking after an adult with Alzheimer's disease or other dementia. Joining us with more information are Julie Dalton, Executive Director at Riverdale Senior Services, and Stamen Brathwaite, Outreach Manager at PSS Circle of Care. Welcome to the both of you. Good morning.
Oh, thank you very much for having us.
Yes. So I just saw a video on Instagram dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia, and it was about a young man who was talking to his mom. And I don't know if you've all seen this video, but he was talking to his mom and he was trying to get her to say who he was, showing her photos and, saying, Mom, he didn't say mom, but he was like, who is this? Who am I? And she just couldn't say it. And I don't think a lot of people even begin to know how to handle this.
Yes.
It's a great pain that, one would have to go through, having a loved one not remember who they are. So the services that you're offering, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Because it's something that's definitely needed.
Yeah.
So if you could just tell us a little more about, how Bronxites could benefit from your services.
Well, certainly, I think the example that you brought up is a perfect example. When someone is a caregiver of a loved one, that really does an impact on their life, and they have a lot of challenges. And but we at RSS, Riverdale Senior Services, really try to look at our community through what we call an aging lens. We call ourselves the Center for Aged Living. So we not only focus on the challenges of getting older, but we also strive to empower people in the Northwest Bronx. So we have a very robust senior center with a whole array of art classes. We have a social action committee because we want to empower our neighbors to advocate for themselves. We're very proud that we have a nurse on staff who does health management and health education. We operate a number of community gardens, and one of our very critical programs is our adult daycare program for people suffering from dementia. So these are individuals that still live in the community, and they come to our program 5 days a week to have structured and stimulating programs. We also have a team of social workers that provide support. We do a number of support groups, and we do mental health counseling. So we're really there to meet the challenges of people in the Bronx that are getting older and their families. And we're delighted to be partnering with PSS Circle of Care to present this Caregiver Expo.
So, Stamen, tell me more about PSS. What are how are you partnering up with Riverdale, and how are you? What are the services that you're also offering to the community?
So Riverdale is like one of the agencies that we're very happy to collaborate with. We collaborate with many different agencies in all 5 boroughs. Our agency, we try to strengthen the capacity of older New Yorkers, the families, and the communities, because being a caregiver could be very overwhelming. And not everyone knows the definition of being a caregiver. So sometimes your parent may get older and we just think, okay, well, it's our duty and it's our job to now care for them without thinking that there are resources out there that could actually help us along the way. And so we provide all free services to these caregivers, and a caregiver could be a neighbor. A caregiver could be a friend that's just calling to check up on someone. It doesn't really necessarily have to be a family member. We offer all free services such as respite, which we collaborate with home care agencies that would actually send an aide into the home to actually give that caregiver some free time to actually get themselves together and focus a little bit on self-care.
Now, how does one go about getting these services? What are the qualifications? Are there income guidelines that they have to have? What do they have to be able to get these services?
For us, there's no requirement. The person just needs to be caring for someone who is not even necessarily diagnosed at the time, but is showing signs of memory loss.
Okay.
So they would just need to be a caregiver for someone that has memory loss.
Okay.
And it's the same for our programs also. Anyone who's 60 and older can, take advantage of the services. And, again, in our adult daycare program, we have 3 options for people to come. We have a contract with the New York City Department for the Aging, so people can come through that. We also accept managed long-term care. And then, of course, the last option would be private pay. But our job as our social workers really get to know the person and then really make those referrals to different resources and to provide the services that are best for them.
Now, what are the signs that one should look for? Like someone who may be watching, they're not sure if their loved one is suffering from memory loss. What are some of the signs that they should be looking for?
I always tell people, signs is a very tricky thing because For example, myself, I forget my keys many
That's
times.
true. That's true. So do I.
Right. But I wouldn't want to say that I'm in a stage of dementia or Alzheimer's, but once you see something is reoccurring over and over and over, and they may start to forget what they may have had for breakfast or what they did the day before, these are signs that you really want to just focus on just a little bit, and then you might want to create a log of how often they're doing these things, and then you would try to go to the physician.
And I think sometimes also being aware of signs is the person isolating themselves. Are they becoming what we call socially isolated?
Right.
Are they lonely? Sometimes if there's a lack of social interaction, that can exacerbate some perhaps early dementia. One of the things we're looking at doing at Riverdale Senior Services is really to enhance our adult daycare program to really address that cohort of people that are diagnosed earlier in their lives. So I think it's also very important for people to get engaged, the caregiver, whether it's a family member or a friend, with the older person's, physician. Sometimes the medical profession thinks, well, that's just a sign of aging. Not necessarily, Aging does not have to be a time of, decline. It can be a very empowering time. But we always feel that information is more. So connecting with agencies like ours really empowers the person that's a caregiver to take care of themselves and to know the signs to look out for.
We have to wrap, but when is the expo happening, and how can we all get in touch with you?
It's happening next Wednesday, July 17th, from 3 to 6 p.m. at Riverdale Senior Services, which is 2600 Netherland Avenue. Visit our website, rssny.org, or send an email to info@rssny.org.
Excellent. Steve,
Yes.
and did you have...
You could definitely look up our website at pssusa.org or psscaregivers.org.
Steve and Julia, thank you so much for coming on to talk to us about this important subject.
Oh,
We
you're
really
very
appreciate
welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. The Caregiver Conference, once again, will be taking place on Wednesday, July 17th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Riverdale Senior Services, located at 2600 Netherland Avenue. For more information and to register, call 212-918-6123, extension 21, or visit rssny.org and click events. We like to be thorough, so we're giving you all that once more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
About inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Thank you for staying with us. Science is coming to life this summer in the Bronx. The World Science Festival will be holding its City Science event, a free STEM event for all ages here at Lehman College. Here with more information is Caroline Gelb, producer of City of Science. Caroline, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you. You know what? Going back to elementary school, doing my science projects and going to the Bronx, what was it? the Science Museum in Queens.
New York
New York
Hall
Hall
of
of Science. Yes, it's been so long since I've been there, so I do need a science fair in my life. But it was so much fun, you know. I always enjoyed doing that and getting my hands dirty and just, you know, figuring out what causes what in science, you know. So this event that you're having, I know it's going to be great for the families. So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So City of Science is an immersive free day of science where kids and adults can get their feet dirty, their hands dirty, and experience the wonder and power of scientific discovery.
Now, this is the third time that it's happening here?
Third time
in the
at
Bronx?
Lehman College in the Bronx.
Okay.
And we've traveled all over the city to all of the boroughs, and we're starting our third round of visits.
So now we're seeing this is not your ordinary science fair. What is making this extraordinary?
There's nothing ordinary about it. So if you think about sitting down, the only sitting you're going to be doing maybe on a cart where you're playing tug of war but on wheels and learning about Newton's third laws. Or you're going to be learning about non-Newtonian fluids while running across a 10-foot long tank of oobleck, basically cornstarch and water. So everything is really physically large and physically interactive.
Now, talk about the importance of STEM in our communities. You know, when people hear science, technology, and, you know, engineering and math, it's like, oh, this is so hard, I don't think I can do it. But talk about the importance of it and why the youth should be encouraged to know that, yes, this is something that they may want to get into.
Right. So STEM is incredibly important for kids, and being able to find accessible ways to learn about it is even more important to not only do well in school, but to have tremendous opportunities for study beyond high school. And what we've done with a lot of the exhibits that we have built at the World Science Festival for the City of Science event is look at pretty complex scientific principles like Einstein's theory of general relativity, but come up with really fun ways of interacting with physical objects to learn these principles.
So talk more about the exhibits that you're going to have, because they're going to be so, how many exhibits are going to be
I think
on
we
there?
have about 25 to 30 different exhibits, and we
Okay.
have those that are built by the World Science Festival, and then we have partner organizations like NASA and the Bronx Museum of the Arts, the New York Botanical Garden, the Bronx Children's Museum. So we have a lot of different activities that will be there. It's the first time we've been having an event in the summer.
Oh, that's
so
perfect, because parents are always looking for, I'm always looking for something for my children to do. So that's great. What are the ages?
It's
that-
all ages.
Okay.
There really is something for everyone. And what's really special about this program is that all the exhibits are run by volunteers, and they may be Lehman students and faculty, they may be graduate students and undergraduate students at universities around the city, and a lot of them are New York City teachers. And we have a great volunteer corps of high school students who come out to spend their day making sure that your experience is great.
So what's the day looking like? I come in, what am I looking forward to?
So you can be inside or outside. If you need to cool down and you want to be in air conditioning, you can come into the Apex
Yeah.
Center. Or if you want to play outside with some of the water exhibits, we'll be outside as well. And people will spend anywhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours there. It's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th. And it is just one of the many programs that is produced by the World Science Festival, and this is presented by Con Edison.
Now, what is it about science that you love? Because you're definitely passionate about it.
I love the idea that you can discover new things, that you can look at something that is really typically hard to understand and be explained and learn how to do it in such an easy, hands-on way by great people with great exhibits.
And this is going on every year, and it's free, like you said. Is there any RSVP that they need to go to? Do they need to go to Eventbrite to register, or can they just walk right in?
They can walk right in, but we appreciate RSVPs because then we know how many people to expect. We have over 3,500 people who have already RSVP'd. But you should visit worldsciencefestival.com to see more information about it, and it will tell you the location. There's free parking. And we'll have a link for Eventbrite.
Excellent. Caroline, thank you so much for this
Thank you so much.
information. We're looking forward to being there.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
Awesome. The City of Science event, once again, will be taking place on Saturday, July 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Apex Center at Lehman College on 250 Bedford Park Boulevard. For more information, visit worldsciencefestival.com. Stay tuned for more Open after this.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back. The New York City Department of Education Teacher Recruitment presents Teach Bronx NYC, an event for aspiring Bronx teachers. Here to tell us more, Shamir Stevens, Director of Teachers for New York City Department of Education and New York City Men Teach, and Jason Acosta, Program Manager at the New York City Department of Education as well. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Actually, Shamir and I go way back, Bronx sites.
Yes.
So it's very good to see you here today.
Good to see you as
Very
well.
good to see you both here. So tell us about this event that's happening. Why should one become a teacher?
Yeah, so I'll just give a little bit of background information. So New York has the largest school district in the country, 1.1 million students, 79,000 teachers, 1,800 schools throughout the 5 boroughs. And so when you zoom in on the Bronx, right here in our borough, there are 373 schools and 17,000 teachers just in this borough alone. And so some of the work that Jason and I do as part of the recruitment team here in New York City, annually we hire about 5,000 teachers, and 30% of those teachers are right here in the Bronx. And so there's a huge opportunity, but there also is a huge need for teachers right here in the Bronx.
And now, both of you, how long have you both been with the Department of Education?
I've been with the Department of Education for 2 years now. Actually, like today, I think is my 2-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And I've been doing a lot of work around just programming and looking at how we can continue to build opportunities and pipelines for Bronx residents who are really interested in becoming teachers.
And you know, it's such a great, I think people don't give teachers enough credit. I mean, it's definitely a lot of work, but it's also a great job and actually could be very fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with some of the, like Jason mentioned, with some of the programs that we're building out for residents, we're really trying to showcase that at an early age and an early stage. So some of the programs that we have, our Ed Rising program or our Educators Rising program, which really starts with high school students, and Jason does a little bit of work with those students.
What does the training look like for the students?
Yeah, it's so all of our pipeline programming is really similar. For our high school students, what we're looking at is trying to give them early exposure, right? Really thinking about what it means to become a teacher, the whole picture. So not just hands-on pedagogical experience in terms of content, but we're looking at systems, and we're looking at oppression, identity. We're looking at the whole community. We really want them and all of the participants in our programs to really have a full picture when they're coming into the school, right? So a lot of times when our teachers are coming in, they're experts in the content, in the lesson planning, which is really important. But we want them to also understand the people that they're working with and the communities that they're serving. And so our students get a chance to do this work really early on by co-teaching, by sometimes evaluating our teachers.
So the high school students, are they teaching their peers, or are you taking them to elementary school?
It's a mix of both.
Okay.
So we have weekly programming that happens at our schools, and students really, once they're feeling comfortable and feel ready, they will start teaching, almost doing like some peer teaching and co-teaching. Okay. And then a lot of our schools have elementary schools either on their campus or in the neighborhood, and we try to have them collaborate for tutoring, internship opportunities so that they can really start their teaching careers early on.
Yeah, another component to the program, which Jason didn't mention because he also works as a professor here for CUNY,
Oh, nice.
is these
Yeah.
students are not only going through the program, but they're also receiving college credit. And Jason's
That's
like
a
one of
great
the professors
incentive.
that teaches the course.
That's a
So
great incentive. So, how are you choosing the schools that you go into? Like, if there's this, are there in most high schools? How can a student who's watching this program be a part of this training program?
That's a great question. So right now, what we're doing is we're pretty open to any school, any high school for the most part that's really interested in bringing this program to their school. And so we work really closely with Department of Education leadership, superintendents and districts. And usually what we try to do is have students work with their school administration and reach out to us, which will provide some information in a little bit. And we can work really closely with them in getting a program off the ground. So we're really open to anyone who is interested in doing this work.
yeah, one of the other things I would say about that, when we think about like pipeline programs for Bronx residents, is we start at the high school level, but we also work with community-based organizations for interested participants who are not sure if they want to be in a school setting, but want some exposure in an after-school setting.
Right.
We host programs that are subsidized master's programs like the New York City Teaching Fellows Program,
Right.
the New York City Teaching Collaborative Program, and then we also run NYC Men Teach, which is a program to recruit more male educators of color. So there's really something for everyone if you're interested or think that you're interested. And so this is really what the event is about. We come into the community and we're going to host these events for anyone who's interested in discovering their pathway to the classroom.
I love that you all are doing this. I think it's a great idea for our youth to see something that they can get a grasp of, a career that they can get a grasp of early on, and to see how they can go ahead and also benefit their community. So thank you, gentlemen, so much for
Thank you
being
as well.
here. I really appreciate it. The Teach Bronx Discover Your Pathway into the Classroom will be taking place on Wednesday, July 24th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Parkchester, New York Public Library located at 1985 Westchester Avenue. For more information, visit teachnyc.net. Don't go anywhere, more open after this.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
Welcome back. Statement Junkie is a program in partnership with community-based organizations equipping girls of color to navigate economic and social barriers within their community. Here to tell us more is Rachel Evans, founder and executive director of Statement Junkie. Welcome. How are you, Rachel?
Welcome.
So tell me, Statement Junkie, where did that name come from?
Statement Junkie stemmed from the idea of making a positive statement in the lives of young women specifically, and just really being obsessed about it. So it just came naturally, and I like when people have an opportunity to ask me about the name. It gets a conversation started about the organization.
It is a conversation starter.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the program. What inspired you to get started?
Yes, well, Statement Junkie is a youth development and global leadership program. We work in partnerships, as you mentioned, with schools and community-based organizations here in New York City. And the work we do is really developing the whole girl. We target minority girls who are ages 16 to 19 years old. And through the work that we do, we really want to develop the whole girl and really let her know how she can become not only a change agent in her own community with the work that she can be doing, but also abroad. We really speak to young women traveling abroad, and that's part of our 6 pillars of excellence that we teach them during our 6-week program.
So, okay, let's talk about the 6 pillars because that's on top. What comes after that or before it?
Yes, so when a young woman joins our program, it's for 6 Saturdays, and each Saturday has its own day that we focus on something very specific. So, for example, we'll have a financial literacy day, we'll have a career development day, as well as a college readiness day. We align every girl with a mentor, and our day is filled with fun and just inspiring times also for them to have a safe space, for them to talk about the things that minority girls are really tackling and things that's unique to them. And all of our volunteers and facilitators and teachers are minority women as well. So it gives them a space to really connect with one another and connect with their peers.
And what are some of those topics that you're tackling in your workshops?
So financial literacy is really major and huge. We are really talking about, first and foremost, the mindset behind money and how the girls engage with money, and really talking them through that phase. All of the workshops that we do also have a tangible outcome. So they'll walk away with creating their own budget or their first budget. They're walking away with access to information about how to open up a bank account and what that looks like for them. Career readiness, for example, they'll walk away. We're not only talking about, working in the workforce, but also if you want to start a business, how to do your business plan, and that may be the tangible outcome that they walk away with. It's really awesome because we can't work with girls without working with the parents and the families as well. So every time we do a workshop, we conclude that workshop with emailing the parents the same templates and really giving them a synopsis of the day and the events that their daughter has gone through, and really keeping them part of the conversation. And we also have workshops sometimes for them too.
How are you getting the girls involved in the workshops? Are you going through schools? Are you going through different community organizations?
So this is our second cohort that's starting in September. Our past cohort, we worked and sponsored a school. So we went into school, we observed their girls, and we did our program with their girls. And we're very much open with collaborating and partnering with other schools and, as I mentioned, community organizations to really serve their girls in this unique way and really talk to them about the world as a whole.
Now I want to go on to your book that you have. She's Ready. I love the cover.
Thank you.
I was asking you, does everyone think of Tiffany Haddish
Yes.
and the dance, right?
She's
But
ready.
She's ready. So tell us how you're getting young women involved and how you're getting them ready for traveling.
Yes, so through our coursework, we're getting them ready with traveling, and then just increasing their mindset, letting them know that the world is not necessarily a really scary place. We're walking them and their family through the process of solidifying their passport, and that's one of the things that we do. We get them their passport at the end of the program, every girl. And with talking through that process with them, I found when I first started on social media, the website, just people were reaching out to me saying, I'm grown, but I haven't gone on a trip yet. I don't know how to do this thing. Can you help me? And I've traveled internationally a lot. And I've also traveled internationally with young people and seen it firsthand, how it really changed their lives. So in that space, I can tell my story all day and get people excited about wanting to travel abroad or understanding the importance of it and how they can really learn from it. But I reached out to different women of color and I said, you found yourself at the end of a journey. Can you tell your story? And can you inspire others in that way? And that's how we curated the book.
I love it.
For Statement Junkie. And it's also a guide. So in there you have tips on how to get your passport. You have a level of understanding about visas. The website, as you can imagine, is very interactive. So if you go to the website, as things change, the information change. But it also is really great for the current traveler to get started. Don't pack your entire closet to go on a trip, as well as the new travelers. So our girls get the book as well.
So real quick before we close, what inspired Rachelle to do this? Why did you say this is something that I need to give back to?
Yes, I was raised in the Bronx, and over the summer I would take trips to the South, and I thought I was seeing the world in that space, and the conversation of traveling abroad specifically wasn't at my table in my household. And I didn't take advantage of study abroad programs when I was in college, to be totally honest. I was scared and I didn't have someone to talk to. And then as I mentioned, I got older, I got my passport, I saw the world. And then I saw the world with young people taking 25 teenagers to Quito, Ecuador. And when you see young people from Harlem specifically change right in front of your eyes because they're in a country that's not their own, I knew I had to do this specifically for young girls of color earlier in life and expose them, and then continue to be their mentor and get women like myself to mentor them and give them the tools, resources, and networks for them to be able to do this thing.
Oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. And
Thank you.
It's so great, like you said, to just expose young people to abroad, you know, being able to travel and just broaden their horizons early in life and not wait and say, you know what, oh, I'm grown now, I can do it. No, you can do it now.
Yes, and it's definitely education for living, and that's one of the things that I definitely talk to a lot of the parents about. This is an opportunity. When they say the world is your classroom, it's a real thing.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that classroom here.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the lessons. Statement Junkies Passport Queen program is open for applications until July 31st. You can visit statementjunkie.com for more information and to purchase their book, She's Ready, Inspiring Travel and Stories, and Wanderlust Guide for Women Travelers. We'll be right back after this.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
Welcome back. For more than 30 years, Student Sponsor Partners has provided educational and financial support for low-income students. Here to tell us more about it is Deborah De Jesus Vizi, Executive Director and former sponsored student at Student Sponsor Partners. Welcome.
My pleasure.
So
Nice to be
you were
here.
one of the first students in the
I
70s.
was. I was a foster child here in the Bronx.
Wow.
And in my travels, I met the founder, who was gracious enough to sponsor my education. I was able to go to a private school. Other than that, I would have been relegated to a public school that had a lot of failing statistics and really was the catalyst for a pathway to education and a pathway to freedom that should really be afforded to every child.
What a great success story. And now as the executive director, you want to make sure that you're carrying on that mission.
Absolutely. So, you know, right now we have 11 partner schools in the Bronx, and essentially someone sponsors a child's education, and essentially they get to go to a really good private school here in the Bronx and throughout New York City. And in addition to just having a sponsor, they also have a mentor. And that mentor really provides guidance, if you will, to get that child through high school.
So this starts at the high school level?
It does.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's really about having a capable adult believing in you, investing in you, and ensuring that you get through high school, which we think is a really important milestone for people to get to college, to stay in college, and then move to self-sufficiency. So if I could certainly be an example to anybody, that's certainly, you know, our hope. That kids in the Bronx, like myself, they get to see someone who's from this neighborhood, who has gotten to another step in life, and that they can aspire to get there as well.
So what does the program look like? How do parents get their kids involved in this? Because I can imagine everyone is saying, okay, I would love my child to be able to benefit from this.
Well, first of all, they should reach out to us. Of course, they should get on our website. Applications really start in the beginning of the year, and essentially this is a free program. A child will be sponsored in completion for their tuition at a private school located either near their home or certainly close to it, at which point we take it from there. So basically the sponsor and the mentor will take them through, and a staff of us at SSP who will really provide all of the resources to make sure that they're successful both in high school and then to prepare them for what's next, whether that's a career and or college. So that's really our main focus. The big issue and the big difference between our program and other scholarship programs is we take kids who are of average grades.
I was going to ask you, so what does the selection process look like?
So the selection process really is poverty, and most of our kids fall below $9,000 per capita income. Our lowest has been in the $6,000 range. So we're talking about really poor families. But most importantly, they have to be of average grade. So that means a C student, a B- student, a B student. Essentially, those are our prized possessions, in that we take what's an ordinary student or an average student and we hope to make them extraordinary. And I think the main piece is that those kids would never be afforded an academic scholarship. And that's the majority of children that are in our school systems. And so in order to do that, we think that we have a better chance at really breaking the cycle of poverty, really bringing success with those children, because they wouldn't have a chance otherwise.
Tell us about some of your success stories with some of the students who've been there. Of course, you're one of them.
Yeah, well, certainly, at the time, my tuition was $350 a year. We're going back to the 70s. And, I graduated from college, obviously got a master's on my way to my doctorate. So I always say that my $1,500 tuition investment certainly paid off in spades, and it really changed the trajectory of my life. We have every child that has picked a profession that you can imagine. We have doctors, nurses, lawyers, police officers, you name it. We've got them all. And generally, most of the cohort that is graduating has either graduated successfully, will get into college, and chances are they will stay and graduate from college. So those are some really great stats.
Now, is the mentorship through college as well?
No, it's not. Basically, we say 4 years for a lifetime.
Okay.
So while our program is really based in high school, I would say the majority are still in touch with their mentor or sponsor in some way or fashion. So for example, the family that helped me get through high school is very much a part of my life. And I graduated from high school when I'm 17, I'm 56 now. So that's a long time to be in touch with someone who's impacted your life. So I think that the mentors, the sponsors, the program have incredible influence, not just in the 4 years of high school, but really throughout a lifetime.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And I'm really excited about this. I think it's a great program. I love that you're taking students who are not A students, but you're taking, like you said, the ordinary students and making sure that they also have a chance in successful life. So this is great, Deborah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
To learn more about student sponsor partners, visit sspnyc.org. We've come to the end of our show today, but I'd like to thank you, our guests, for joining us, and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67, Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at bonsnet.org. That wraps it up here for us on the set of Open. I'm Veronica Guiti, and remember that you should always let your light shine. Make sure to keep this channel wide open. Take care, and God bless.